Hi friends, and welcome back for a brand new video. As you may or may not know, I am a child of the internet. I used to play Minecraft during my teenage years, and I watched nlwennlennegezh's videos back when he was a notorious YouTuber and not simply a beloved streamer. So of course, when 5 French streamers, Bagheera, Antoine, Étoile, Kameto and Pierre joined the QSMP server, well, of course I tagged along and decided to follow their adventures. But very recently, a huge controversy was revealed regarding the treatment of the admins of the server, who basically run it and carry it, let's be honest, and especially the way they were exploited without little to no pay. And you know, as a French legal practitioner, there is one thing I consider better than sex: French labor laws. So, let's study together and untangle this mess so you can understand why it is such a huge controversy, especially in France. Usual disclaimer, we're going to be talking about French law, you know, the law that applies in France. Okay, now that it's out of the way, let's keep going. I think it wise to start by explaining what concretely is QSMP for those who do not follow this part of the internet. QSMP, or Quackity's Survival Multiplayer, is a Minecraft server created in March 2023 by Quackity, a Mexican streamer and YouTuber. The particularity of this server is that it is international, meaning creators from all around the world are invited to roleplay on this server. This detail is extremely important for our explanation, so keep it in mind. Streamers from the US, from Brazil, from France, and even very recently from Korea come and have fun on this server. To make their experience even better, characters run by outside and anonymous admins interact with the content creators almost on a daily basis. Other admins deal with building, setting up certain rules for certain events within the server, drawing fan arts, all sorts of tasks which are necessary to keep the server running smoothly and attract not only the players, but also the viewers. So, what exactly happened for this controversy to be unraveled? It all began when Pierre, one of the French streamers, accidentally leaked a Discord convo with one of the French admins. The conversation itself had nothing special. If I recall correctly, it was about the fact that the server had been cyber attacked and now everything had been fixed. So nothing too crazy, nothing really serious, just info for the content creators so they know what's going on with the server. However, and this was something that only the content creators knew back then, the content creators and the admins were not supposed to be in contact, like at all. And so the French admin who was involved in this convo was kicked out of the QSMP server, even though they actually didn't do anything wrong, apart, inform the content creators saying that, yeah, okay, now the server is safe. That's nothing crazy, right? And of course, this admin was rightfully outraged to be basically fired for nothing. And worse, they reported that they were accused of trying to sabotage their peers and have them fired, which is false. At first, this admin reported the incident to the French content creators, who were also upset about this predicament, and they decided to prepare a message for Quackity to see if this could be overlooked. It was a simple mistake. They weren't doing anything dangerous, they weren't doing anything that could compromise the entire project, so see if this could be overlooked and, reintegrate the admin within the QSMP server. However, that very same admin grew even more upset as they were threatened with legal action, so they ended up writing a full thread on what was formerly known as Twitter, exposing the working conditions of the admins on the QSMP server. Of course, the whole thing went viral, and since this person has received, death threats and sexual assault threats, I will not be disclosing their identity during this video. But if you are seeing this, je t'envoie beaucoup d'amour, de force, franchement bon courage parce qu'il y en a des idiots à la pelle sur ce putain de réseau social, et comme dit ma mère, qu'ils pleurent, ils pisseront moins. After that, several other admins talked about their working conditions. Although their work was presented as volunteering, they put a tremendous amount of work in this server, between the writing the law, building the buildings, of course, hosting the events, hosting the fan pages, etc., etc. And all of this amount of work for nothing. Wait, no, not nothing, because the OG admin who exposed the entire situation said that they were paid 169 euros for 4 months of work. I'm just letting that sink in. That's insane, what the fuck? The current aftermath is that French streamers won't be returning to QSMP as long as no drastic changes are made to pay properly the admins. Some of the actors were kicked out of the server, not fired, but kicked out of the server and are still waiting for what will come next. Admins of Twitter accounts have also been kicked out of the accounts, and we have a new challenger in the game with a French union. All of this, and you might be wondering, they knew about the basis of volunteering, so why are they complaining? Because, my darlings, what's happening isn't just a blatant disrespect of the workers who basically make this server live and breathe. It's what we call in French, disguised labor. And man oh man, do we not play about that. Now that the context is settled, we can move on to the theory of French labor law. First, since the QSMP server was created by Quackity, you may wonder, why use French law? Why isn't it, I think it's American law or Mexican law? I honestly don't know, but why French law in particular? Well, it might apply to other admins, but not to the French one. This conflict begins with the fact that the employer is neither French nor based in France, which is why this employment contract is in fact international. Technically, in this case, both parties should have picked a law of their choosing regarding the contract, but since apparently there is no contract nor a chosen law, well, the question remains unanswered, and we still have a conflict regarding which law should be applied for this contract, not contract situation. Situationship? Thankfully, international law did consider this tricky case and decided that, without a clear choice, the applicable law should be the one where the worker executes the contract. In this case, since the admins allegedly reside in France and work from their homes, at least I suppose, the French law applies because this is where they execute the contract. Or not contract. Situationship. You know what I mean. On a side note, even if a law were to be chosen, usually the judge will pick the law where the contract is executed anyway, so it will still be France in this case. But Nolwenn, as I said before, there are volunteers, so why are we talking about workers here? And this is why you're wrong, my love, and let me explain you why. Indeed, a volunteer is someone who will work for free out of the goodness of their heart. For instance, a friend of yours who will help you move out of your apartment, or someone who will go to a pet shelter and take care of the pets for a few hours a week, things like that. This is volunteer work, and by French law, it is a very different protection from workers. But here, let's be honest, there is no denying that the work done by the admins far surpasses the status of volunteer. You might say, yeah, but we haven't seen a contract, so how can they be considered employees? Oh, my sweet child, this is where you're wrong. French law doesn't need a fucking contract to consider you a worker. French law has a wonderful precedent for that. It's the Labour case, Chambre sociale de la Cour de cassation, 19th of December 2000, and it says that the existence of a work relationship depends only on the conditions in which the workers exercise their activity. Basically, you can call it whatever you want, and at the end of the day, if the conditions are fulfilled, you are an employee. There are 3 cumulative conditions to consider a work relationship, once again set by a precedent, the 22nd of July 1954. First, the worker must be effectively working, providing a service. This one is pretty much self-explanatory. Second, the question of salary must exist. This one is a bit trickier, but don't worry, I'll explain everything. The pay can be extremely limited, even lower than the minimum wage, it will still qualify as a salary. Even better, the French law considers that hoping to get paid counts. For instance, you work for free in hopes to be hired afterwards. It counts, and once a judge requalifies your contract as an employment contract, you can get all of your missing salary back. Because yes, you are not supposed to be working for free when you are a worker. Honestly, my dears, just never work for free in your life. Always work according to your pay grade. And finally, a link of subordination. This one is set by another president, 13th of November 1996, Société Générale. This link is qualified via 3 elements: orders given by your employer, your tasks basically, an effective control to verify that those tasks are done and well done, and finally, sanctions if you don't do your work correctly. Now that we have the basis, let's jump to practice and see how the conditions described by the French admins make them actual workers. First, the working condition. Again, this one is very obvious given the amount of time and energy they put into this server. Honestly, you can't deny that. If you do, I don't know what's inside your brain. Does it function at all? 2, the question of a salary. Well, what do we have here? A mess! More seriously, this condition is also fulfilled. Moreover, given the work the admins have done for this server, they had every right to hope for a better payment afterwards, and this is what they demand right now. 3, a link of subordination. This one was a little bit trickier because it was actually uncovered with the controversy. The admins were given tasks to fulfill, which is obvious. The control and sanctions conditions appeared when the first French admin was fired for talking to Pierre. Control, because it means that the QSMP employers were actively surveilling what the admins were doing. Sanctions, because after finding out that a rule had been broken, well, they decided to sanction this worker, this admin, by firing them. As a legal practitioner, I'd say that those 2 last conditions should be dug a little bit deeper to make sure that the case would stand its ground perfectly in front of a court, but otherwise, honestly, it's a pretty solid start. Well, would you look at that? The 3 conditions are fulfilled. The French admins of the QSMP server are considered employees, and therefore, according to French law, are protected by le Code du Travail. But what does it mean concretely to be protected by le Code du Travail? First, they must get paid properly. Second, their working hours must be managed in order to make sure that their health doesn't deteriorate, both physical and mental health. Because right now, given the information that we have, that's not it, chief. They must have days off every week, they are allowed a certain amount of time of rest. I think it's 35 hours after 6 days of work, something like that. I'm not a specialist of labor law, so there are some details I do not know, but they are also entitled to, holidays. Third, it means that they are protected by the social security system. It means if they are sick, they can get paid according to our local laws and our social security system. Once again, there are many details which are very complicated, and I will not bother you with that, but it means that the workers are far more protected than they are without the social security. Well, we can get access to it, but it's complicated. And finally, this means that everything that has been going on could be considered as disguised labor. When hiring a new employee, the employer must declare this new employee, the working conditions and working hours, and pay several types of contributions to our country. This is enshrined in Article L 8022 1.5 of the Code du Travail. I'm simplifying it, but yeah, it costs money for the employer and our government wants money. If the employer does not declare their worker, or only partially, this could be legally considered disguised labor. This can lead to 3 years of jail and a fine of 45,000 euros, and since several people fall under this denomination, it's actually 5 years of prison and 75,000 euros of fine. But worse, you have to face our beloved URSSAF. Fun fact, in France, unions can sue employers on behalf of the employees as long as the employees, gave their consent and didn't say, oh no, you can't do that for me. They can do that, and they will do that if they need to. This is why Solidaire Informatique, which is a French union, decided to get involved and release a statement regarding the situation. All of this is enshrined in Article L 8223.4 of the Code du Travail. I'd like to make an honorable mention to the non-disclosure agreement that was mentioned by the OG admin. It doesn't fucking stand a chance against French law. In France, we technically have no law that prohibits workers from talking about their salary to a third party. Worse, in 2026, France will enshrine in its Code du Travail the right for the worker to talk about their salary to a third party. All of this comes from an European directive that was voted back in May 2023, if I recall correctly. So I hope this long explanation made things more clear for you viewers. As sad as it is, my explanations only apply to the French admins, as I do not have the knowledge to talk about other countries' labor laws. Regardless, their working conditions are shameful, and I sincerely hope that everything will drastically improve in the future for everyone, because it's not just a legal matter. To me, it is a human rights matter. I simplified a lot of my explanations, so if there are some things that are missing, or if a specialist of labor law wants to add information, please feel free to do so in the comments. That will be great for everyone, including myself. Hope you enjoyed this video, so please leave a like, a comment, share with a friend, and please subscribe to my channel. In the meantime, please take care of yourself, and I'll be seeing you around. Bye!